Hey, folks, it's good to be back again. We're trying to figure out what makes for a great MeteorJS experience. And I'll tell you, I really think that React doesn't do it. As a matter of fact, I think it's going the way of the dinosaur. Honestly, to me, React in 2025 is to Angular in 2016. That's my take on it. We'll talk about that a little more, and we'll get into some other things, including what's happening on this road to Impact 2025. And with that in mind, I just want to say this is episode 98 of This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly newscast of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. My name's Alim Gafar. I'm here with, introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody. My name is Dvorak, aka Storyteller on social media, or Storyteller CZ, coming to you live from Prague.
And as usual, I'm coming live from New York City. And with that, let's just get straight to what we're doing today. So why don't we do that?
Yes. So first of all, we always have to have some AI stuff. This time, when you use AI for enforcement, and maybe you are too eager to put it on, then you'll get a lot of false positives, and this is what's most likely happening on Facebook, or at least. And this might be a wild day. This might be a scapegoat as well. But there are people reporting that they just get, suspended for normal activity. And the same thing actually happened to me and Literary Universe as well. Every time we've posted a link to our website, my personal account got suspended. Citing community guidelines, TOS violation, and cybersecurity and whatnot. Surprisingly, the link itself stayed up, so I'm not sure what to make of it. And a couple of months later, my accounts get unsuspended, and that actually nothing has been violated. So something strange is happening. So keep an eye out. I think we'll be seeing a lot of these as AI gets implemented across, I would say, especially on the large platforms for security and all the other, let's say, enforcements of rules. So I think we have a bit of a bumpy road ahead of us until the bugs get fixed on that.
Do you think this has something to do with implementing the European and rulings recently on content moderation?
I would say not necessarily, but at the same time, especially with such big systems like Facebook, once you start putting more and more things into the box, the more variables you get into it, the strange combination of different requirements and rules can produce sometimes very strange results. And we've seen that, especially moderation across the board in the past on YouTube and in other social media as well. So I think that's an interesting take that I have not considered. And recently we had quite a few high profile legislations coming through, and more are on the way. So this might complicate things even further.
All right.
And sadly, the downside is that there is no customer support or any human that you can reach out to get help with this, unless, of course, you have some personal contact. But I would say that for most population, that's rare.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but you haven't seen any issues once you've gotten your stuff back, once you've gotten access back.
No. Every time I get my access back, whenever I post again a link to Literary Universe or something like that, I got banned again. So I have only tried it. I only run through it twice, and probably later today I will try to post a link again. And I'll see what happens.
Are there any steps that you're taking to, your account's been banned a couple of times, right? So when banned, I guess you don't have any access to your Facebook content. What steps are you taking to ensure that you have that content in case you get locked out permanently. Are you doing anything about that, or it's not really an issue to you?
So right now, before I go again on testing things, I will
Mhm.
request a backup. Strangely enough, when I'm kind of in this banned or like suspended state with my account, I can request my data, but
Oh, you
there
can.
appears to be. I can, yes, but there, at least with my account, there appears to be a bug where I can request it, start processing it, and it never finishes. It never gives me my data. So.
Oh,
Uh, so first things first, before I go another set of experiments to see what's going on, I will get all of my data backed up, and so that if one day they run out of time to actually review my account suspend and remove it completely, at least I
yeah.
have all of those things with me.
I think the reason that it would just hang is because as it was creating the backup for you, the CIA was probably reading it, just to make sure that everything was okay. But now we're going down the conspiracy rabbit hole. I don't want to do that really, but anyway, it was just fun to say.
Well, going, you kind of have that streak this week, Alan. Let's be honest. But another thing related to security and potentially conspiracy is that there is a free VPN extension that has been found to take screenshot and uploading them to the company's servers, and pretty much being a spyware, you could say. So again, I would say here reminder, when it comes to security, if it's free, or like like similar like with Facebook, if it's free, then that means you are the product. So always be super careful with any site or extension that is free in this manner. Strangely enough, it's the company is still verified on Google Chrome or the Chrome Web Store. So we'll see how this story develops. But yeah, this is kind of warning if you are using the free VPN.1 extension, that it's not safe. So be very careful with what you choose for your VPN or any similar security application.
It's
Anything
funny
else
that
to
we
add,
have.
Alim?
Yeah, I don't really have a lot to say about this. This is security is a thing that comes up all the time, and free stuff is a way for malware developers, distributors, or so on to. It's a great vector, right, for spreading bad stuff and having bad actors get involved. It's unfortunate because a lot of open source is free, and it really undermines the trust factor that we all have in an open internet. And I'm not happy about the way things are going this way. I really feel like we need better tools to assess the safety of things that we can get for free, and I just don't know.
Yeah, or generally, like, don't trust anything that's for free unless you have vetted it. Especially, like, I would say, when it comes to the consumer side, when it comes to the like developer side, also things are at least still there a bit more. Well, first of all, people are there much more cautious,
Mhm.
but still, there's still, I would say, the culture is still there, though we do seem to have attacks on it lately as well. So, and I'm concerned as well. The tragedy of Commons comes to mind, and
Mhm.
I do wonder more than I would probably like to about the future of open source, especially when it comes to anything new that comes on. But speaking of new, Alim, I think we have here some interesting news on that, new and security wise.
Yeah, so this is open SSH. This is a discussion in the forums. So we're going to bring this back a lot now, I think. The idea is to really spend a little more time in where the discussions are happening with Meteor. And one of the things that I brought up recently that I saw that just kind of like, I don't know what the hell they're really talking about here, is open source SSH now supports post-quantum cryptography. To me, that's a word salad about, with terminology that's just I don't know what you call that again, but it's a lot of technical terminology that sounds exciting, but what the fuck does it mean, right? And so, I don't know. Do you understand what this is all about? It seems like they're talking about like how traffic gets encrypted and so on, so that we have some safety. But I'm not entirely sure. And there's a whole discussion going on about this, right? So do you understand what this is about? Because I'll be honest with you, I want to feed this to like an LLM and see what it has to say about it. Are you down for that, or do you have a good
I
sense?
think that might be a fun thing to try. In general, how I see this is just addition of new functionality and probably new like encryption algorithms
Yeah.
to OpenSSH.
Mm-hmm.
And related to this was actually the latest Node.js, and it just came out yesterday, I think. 24.7 has this new version of OpenSSH included as well. So
All
if
right.
you
Well,
want to try it out, then it's possible
yeah. So
in
I
Node.
just posted something into. Now I did this in an anonymous session, so it's not influenced by what I already know. So I posted this into ChatGPT because this is the one most people use, right? I mean, not in the tech space, because normally in the tech space you use Claude or something else for generating content, and I'm not paying Elon Musk anything for Grok. I know you use Grok, and I know you like it,
Yep.
but as a basic, protect my mental, space, I don't do anything there. So the question I asked was, what's being discussed in this forum item, right? And how does post-quantum encryption have anything to do with MeteorJS? And what do the posters have to say about this, right? So it talks about it. It says that it's pointing out that OpenSSH, which is a secure shell software, has added support for post-quantum cryptography. I still don't know what the hell that means. And posters wonder if MeteorJS, specifically the accounts package, could benefit from integrating it or using that cryptographic capability. So how does post-quantum crypto relate to MeteorJS? Now, the thing is, maybe I can make this a little bigger so that we can see it better. Hang on one second. All right. Yeah, that's what I should do here, right? So MeteorJS's post accounts package handles authentication, things like hashing passwords, managing login tokens and user sessions, while OpenSSH is primarily for secure shell connections. The question is whether Meteor could leverage OpenSSH's now they have an acronym for it, PQC, post-quantum crypto, right? Features for stronger quantum resistance security in Meteor's authentication flows. In essence, it's a security-minded idea, but there's no inherent or out-of-the-box connection between Meteor and OpenSSH. One would have to assess feasibility, compatibility, whether or not OpenSSH's crypto would benefit a typical web-centric MeteorJS app. They say Meteor, it's MeteorJS. We should really use that. So what do the posters have to say? Two responses provide insights into the community's initial reactions. Italo.js, one of the folks that's on the MeteorJS team, Meteor software team, says, it looks good, but I would like to see it as a package before integrating inside MeteorJS. In other words, they think it's a promising idea, but they prefer to see it packaged. Somebody wraps this functionality into a MeteorJS friendly package before it's adopted into MeteorJS itself. So Italo wants to see it as a separate thing, evaluate how it works, and then figure out whether or not it belongs in the core. And Min has said, but what will MeteorJS do? I'm sorry, what will Meteor do with this post-quantum cryptography? That's my question too. To hash passwords? And here they're questioning the concrete use case. What specifically would MeteorJS use PQC for? Password hashing, token encryption, and whether that would make sense within the context of MeteorJS's architecture. And here's a summary. So it seems like it did a. What would you think about the summary? Do you think that this
Yeah,
covered it?
that's pretty good. I think, when it comes to password hashing, we just recently added Argon 2 support
Hmm.
um, instead of bcrypt. So I think we are good in that manner there. And I think OpenSSH is used around, at least from what I remember, when it comes to the HTTPS and all that stuff. So I think that is where things will get interesting, and I think that is something to look at when we kind of start upgrading the web app package,
Yeah,
and maybe even in the build tool on localhost, and later on Galaxy, but that will then go into the SSH certificates potentially, but we'll
sure.
have to see. I think right now, as of this
Mhm.
moment, there really is not uh, anything to do. Once Meteor has the Note 24, which will be probably this fall or winter, then this will be available, just because Meteor runs on a Node, so anybody who wants to use that will have it. But I also kind of have to question the post quantum cryptography, because we are not really yet at commercially used quantum computers and their capabilities. So
Yeah, this is what gets me, right. I mean, like, we've already jumped to post quantum, and we haven't really had an ecosystem of quantum computing applications. I feel like I'm really, really behind when I read something like that, post quantum computing. I'm like, what the fuck happened? I fell asleep one day. We're working with these new LLM models. We're trying to figure those out, and we're already in post quantum. I got to tell you, I feel gaslit right now. I feel like somebody pulled the rug out under me and said, you know what, you're not keeping up. That's and it's just mind-boggling on so many levels to me, because as you point out, the post-quantum term on it makes it feel like there's a whole generation of computing that's already happened that we should understand and know, and now we're past that, and we're talking about implementing this in a pre-quantum environment, and it confused the hell out of me.
yeah,
And honestly, this
yeah.
go ahead.
That's like, if you look on Wikipedia, the big thing there is, all the post quantum and quantum proof or quantum safe is cryptographic algorithms that are currently thought to be secured against cryptanalytic attack by quantum computer. So
Mm.
they think that this will be secure, but we don't have, really any way to test it. So take this, I would say, with a
Yeah.
big pinch of salt.
Anyway, I don't think I can contribute to this conversation at all. I have no experience with it. It's I don't have access to a quantum computer, as far as I know, to actually try any of the stuff. And to be honest with you, my understanding is that that requires a whole different way of thinking about how you program. So, you know, I am surprised that I found this in the forums. Anyway, if any of you guys out there understand the stuff, and I'm sure there are tons of you that are much smarter than me about this, go and put your 2 cents in about this. And for those of you that really understand this, excuse me, try to explain it to us lesser mortals, right? So that we can at least follow along in the conversation, because I don't know. I'm glad that ChatGPT has a thing. I think as long as you say that sounds like a reasonable explanation of it, okay. But still, it's I think we have a lot of other problems to solve with MeteorJS first.
Yeah, and speaking of problems to solve, I think the every problem whenever you start a new project is, which front-end technology
Yeah.
to use, which has been an ongoing discussion since at least 2014.
Yeah, I have I think I said to you the other day, I said, if you say React, I'll tell you who you work for. Is the front end that you're picking. It's sort of
Yeah.
like, if you tell me, what was that phrase I think that you got from like Charlie Munger, which was like, show me your something and I'll tell you what your show me your incentives and I'll tell you what your results are, or something like that.
Mhm.
I forget exactly. I'm messing it up, but it's one of those things where, like, to me, and I said this at the outset, and I'm saying it here again, I feel like React has gotten to the point now where it has the bloat and the mental overhead today that Angular did back in 2016, when everybody sort of was saying, hey, you know what? Angular, for those who are using it and have been using it, smooth sailing. We know what we're dealing with. Now, I'll take that back to a point, because we were transitioning from Angular 1 to Angular 2, and that required, quite a bit of change in the way you thought about the models, but similar enough. And most of the people that were there, I think, that you have this, what is that term that they use, sunk cost fallacy, right? It's like they're already
Mhm.
so deep in it that they can't like pull back and say, you know what, this is too much, I need to try something else. Some people did and moved on to things like Angular, like React afterwards. But a lot of them actually stayed on and said, no, Angular's fine. It works perfectly. I'm going to, by the way, add this back to the stream. So there is a discussion right
Yeah.
now on the forums about, if you were going to start with MeteorJS, what front end project would you use today? And that got me thinking about like how I see things. And to me, here's what I think. I think if you're coming to MeteorJS for the first time, and this is how I always think about MeteorJS and the community and how we get people involved in it, is that what is the simplest, easiest way for you to adopt it? What are the smallest set of mental models that you need to manage in your mind in order to do this? And by the way, I just realized that I don't have I have to look past, because I have another screen and I'm blocking it right now. Let me fix that by moving it over here. And I didn't connect the chat before, so let me just see if there's anybody in the chat right now.
Yeah. We're just
We're by ourselves for the most part.
chatting about security there.
Okay. Sid Knows is one of the folks that are there, and who else is there?
Me.
Okay, right now that's what we've got going on. I know that I triggered Kelly the last time we were talking about this stuff, and he was on the show with us. So I really go back to that. To me, the thing that was really inviting and brought people in and got people excited about MeteorJS was how quickly you could start. And when you have to deal with a mental model that is becoming more and more complicated, it makes it difficult to start. And I think that when I look at this and I think about what front end I want to use, I will go back to saying, what's the simplest model that I can play with right now? And to me, that's probably Svelte. At one time I would have said Vue, but Svelte and even Blaze. But I think as a commercial front end that I would spend time with, that is usable outside of MeteorJS, Blaze doesn't carry you forward very well, right? It's hard to say, well, yes, I'm going to build something. I don't know. Blaze, it's its own front end, and you could probably use it in other projects. I don't know anybody who has, but certainly Svelte, certainly Vue, and I think, but Vue is getting a little more complexity. However, it's still relatively simple enough, quick to adopt. It's incrementally adoptable. There's a lot of great things about it, but between those are the two that I would say, if we want to keep the mental model simple so that you can just get into MeteorJS as you're learning JavaScript, as you're learning how to be a good developer and build web and mobile applications and desktop experiences. I think we need to rethink like what MeteorJS is and who it's for, and not try to make it this, try to solve like every complex use case that people have for production systems. I think that when you get to complex production applications, the best way that you deal with them is through decomposition of, um, areas of functionality that do a very specific thing, and then build out for those. So that I've soliloquized a bit here. I apologize for going on and on about this, and I probably should have put myself up on screen while we're talking about this, but I didn't. So let me do this. Let me just take this off for a second and just have you and me up for a moment. Let me get the let me get the side by side here going again. So all right, now that I've had my verbal vomit, right, of my thoughts about what front end I would go with. Actually, I should bring this back up again. Let's see what others have had to say about this. Is this a live or is this a screenshot?
This is just a screenshot.
Can you pull up the live?
Yeah, let me do that, and
Okay.
boom, right here.
So let's see what other people have said and why. And a lot of people, TLDR, a lot of people have said React would be the front end that they would choose.
Paul, we have says React.
Mm-hmm.
We did have some.
And what were some of the reasons that they were giving behind that? Do you remember what some of them said? So let's see what they said.
Let's see. Oh, I don't have.
Can you blow that up a little bit?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So he just React, no reason given.
Yep.
Let's see, there is some sort of a survey. So
and you go with React also.
No, I would, today I would probably try to go with Solid or something.
Solid? Yeah, I have no experience with Solid. What's Solid like? Is it lightweight?
So Solid is similar to React, but what I like about it and what I'm trying to get more into is its reactivity model. So it's much more better than React in reactivity. And so you don't really have to have like any special hooks to handle connecting with Meteor. It just works out of the box with what's already in Solid. Mm-hmm. So that's what I like about it. But I'll kind of get why it might not be best later on. And Abigail is for sure.
Yep.
And it's just what we've seen here.
It's funny. Different leaders in the community, they don't all agree entirely. So for instance, our friend Küster, right? He likes Blaze. He works on the Blaze project, but he says Vue would be his choice, right? And then we have John Morrow, who says he would go with Svelte. Right? It's great to see Max Savin there again, by the way. I haven't seen Max in a while, and he is all for React.
He was a Blaze diehard, then switched to React.
Yeah. Never looking back, he says. Never looking back. Yeah.
That's kind of like, for me, because I've kind of bought into the React paradigm of HTML in JS, while with Svelte, Vue, Blaze, it's JavaScript in HTML, which just feels wrong to me. I'm just not able to get over that. So that's why I'm more also with Solid, because Solid kind of follows the same paradigm as React in that matter. We have Jam for Svelte.
Mm-hmm.
So when for enjoyment and performance.
He says React is legacy at the highlight that. React is legacy at this point.
I would agree with this.
And that's my feeling also, in a sense. Like, you get to a point where you're trying to please everybody, and it becomes so bloated that, and then you have all of this baggage that you have to support, right? And
also given the way React is developing with Next and everything, for me that moves away from single page application. And actually, the developers of React were surprised how many people still use React with single page applications. So they had to backtrack quite a lot of their changes that they were wanting to do.
The React team
So
primarily is not supporting you. They're supporting themselves, right? It's mostly the next team. And before
yeah,
that
at
was
this point.
Facebook, right?
Yeah.
So they were solving their problems. And if it happened to solve yours, great. But that's the other thing that I feel. It's that we are basically, when you're a React developer, you're basically saying, I'm going to align how I develop my applications based on a Facebook model or an X model. It's not my model, it's theirs. So
Yeah, and he really has also kind of the point that's what I'm making for Solid is that if they move to signals, but that's exactly what Solid has. It has signals.
yeah,
But I also am a bit worried that Solid might then want to follow similar path as React. So that's, and actually I have to check out this video later on. About the Sig engine. So that's kind of also a bit different. And React, you could say in this way, this is why it's legacy. Because it still has the virtual DOM thing, while the modern frameworks have the fine-grained signals for kind of getting the changes in there.
I'm going to pull this off for a second so we can continue discussing again. So, again, I think I think the point's been made a few times now from the different folks over there that in some ways I think Min also said in there that part of the reason that React's there is it's just so popular, and because there's so much React code out there that the AIs know how to give you back good React code based on the plurality of or the plenitude, right, of React code that's out there to feed it. Anyway, as I said before, I think if I'm thinking of what it is to be true to Meteor experience, it should be I should be able to take it, build something very quickly with a small mental model, and then I build my own skills. Like that, I think this is the problem that we've had, which is there are plenty of developers that have come into Meteor and said Meteor should be doing all the work for me. And they don't learn JavaScript. They don't learn Node well enough. They don't learn the ecosystem well enough. So they rely on a crutch in order to. And hey, I mean, I'm gonna get beat up. I'm gonna get yelled at. I'm gonna be told you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. I'm using very spicy language because I was sailing yesterday with a bunch of spicy sailors. So this hasn't left my mouth. So I apologize for this, but this channel isn't meant for children anyway. But if you're a precocious child and you want to build an application, use MeteorJS. Give it a shot, and use Solid, use Svelte, use Vue. Don't use React. Go out there and give it a try. Or Blaze, but just give it a try. And so anyway, I really believe that at some point you need to get the training wheels off. And to me, MeteorJS, the platform, is training wheels to some degree, and you get into learning how to do systems architecture and building out your application as a whole system rather than just rely on Meteor to be your entire system for the entire lifetime of your application. All right. So having said that, boom.
Yeah, I only have one last thing to add, and this is, I think, where a lot of people still stuck with React, including me. Are the packages and the ecosystem that has been built around it. That's a huge thing. And last time I tried Solid, there were some quite basic things that I wanted for internationalization, for example, that just the ecosystem did not provide. So if I wanted to go with that, I would have to build that myself, which I will do if I get the time for that. Right now, I'm not in a position to be able to do that investment. Yeah,
it's handcuffs. So on the one hand, I think it begs the question that, well, yes, you say that you rely on these packages. Is there a possibility of spending some time, and somebody would have to do it, to say, you know what, we have these features that are available in these packages that give these capabilities to my software. in React, can I get the same thing? Can I feed this to an LLM and say, transpile this into something that would work with Svelte, or that would work with, Vue? And see, so somebody would have to sit down and do it. My point is, I don't think that you have to start from zero anymore now that we have these tools that are able to help us. The question is, like, how effective will they be? And it's not going to be known until somebody gives it a shot. But it could work. But then we run into, again, the same issue as these frameworks mature, is they end up getting bigger and bigger and bigger. There's a lot of cruft. And there's a lot of things that, that fills in, and it becomes a little unwieldy, because to navigate what's available, that pollutes the search space. That makes it hard to figure out, what's there. When you start early and there's nothing there and you only have 3 choices, very easy to go. But when you have like 1,000 packages, a little harder. Now I have to have a heuristic on, like, what am I going to pick? If there are 4 competing packages that do the same thing, which ones do I use, right? And we've often used popularity as a measure of, acceptance. But sometimes popularity could be there just because it was there the longest, right? So, like, what's your heuristic? How do you do this? And now if we go to 10,000 packages, 100,000 packages, it becomes harder and harder. And then nobody implements their package exactly the same way as their competitor. So you have to learn all these other things. And it becomes handcuffs, right? You become trapped in these handcuffs with this thing because you've invested so much that you don't want to tear away and try something new, because it took me so long. It took me, so much effort to learn this thing, to become used to it, to figure out how to use it. But now I'm basically bound to somebody else's mental model, not necessarily my own. I'm bound to the limitations that it gives me. And maybe I'm restricting what I can do with my application because, this is what I've agreed to. This is what I've allowed myself to accept. I know we don't all have the luxury of tearing things down and building them from scratch again. It takes time, takes effort, takes money. And sometimes, like, we don't have a customer that's willing to pay for that transformation. But going back to what I said before, my view on Meteor is we are using Meteor incredibly wrong for the last 10 years. This is not the way we should be doing it. And so if I were picking a front end, I'm going to look for the simplest experience that allows me to have the smallest mental model to build and learn how to build applications with JavaScript and become proficient, and focus on, instead of just learning the Meteor platform on the ins and outs, is really learning my core JavaScript and Node. That's all I want to say there. Yeah. All right.
I will not. I'll leave it there as well, because then we could because what happened in 2015 with enabling React into Meteor, all that stuff. So that has a big impact. But I think it's time to move on so that we don't get stuck.
Yeah.
This.
Well, what I think is really interesting that's been talked about on the forums. I mean, if you remember, I think it's a little over a year ago, we started down the path of the migration to 3 from 2. And I believe Felipe and what's his firm's name again?
Quawe.
No, begins with a Q, right?
Yeah, Quawe.
No, Qualia is not Felipe's firm.
No, you're thinking about Qualia. That's the American one. Quawe is Felipe's.
Oh, Quava. That's right, Quava. So Felipe, who was a past CEO of Meteor and also chief cheerleader, so to speak, has a firm called Quava. You said, is it Quava?
Quawe. I think that's how I read it.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Well, anyway, he has a firm, and both he and his firm released some software that allowed you to take your version 2 application and migrate a lot of it over to 3. So that enabled some people to, make like maybe a 60 to 80% transformation of their code base from a 2.x code base to the 3. Because when we moved from 2, we dropped fibers. which was our way of handling asynchronous and synchronous activities, and moved to native async await in the current versions of Node. Before that, we weren't able to keep up with the changes in Node because there was a limitation in terms of supporting fibers. Anyway, that's a journey I think a lot of people are still on, and some people have been using what is that? And by the way, let me just add this back to the stream. Some people have been using the LLM tools to do this. I hate using the term AI because it's not AI. It's a large language model, but whatever. All right. And there was a post recently. I think it's a little over a week old on putting together you know, a PRD for, you know, basically a document describing like how you do these transformations to MeteorJS 3 using AI tools. And I thought this was like a really fascinating thing because somebody's trying to codify this in a way that captures all the variations so that you could basically feed this into one of the large language models, feed your code in, and then get out fully transformed MeteorJS 3 application. The one thing that they pointed out that they're having problems with is with the packages. But did you find this interesting in any way? Or am I just like the guy that's just, oh, shiny new object? This is really cool.
I've heard from multiple places that this works, and it's at least it gets you really. It can get you really a long way, close way as well. Also, depending which version you are starting at. I have only used it, or kind of similarly in an auxiliary way. After I've already did most of on one project, after I already did like most of the transition myself, and yes, and the core you can migrate very easily. It's actually pretty straightforward. Sometimes the AI has a bit of an issue to find all the dependencies or where the function is used to make sure that then everything is async and all that stuff. So then that's where it's lagging.
Okay.
But other than that, I think it's if you don't know where to start it, just using something like this is, I would say, a great way to really get you most of the way there. And even if you do it by hand, the thing that's where you're going to get the most stuck are the packages and third-party things. On one of the projects, since that one was like almost 10 years old as well. Just some of the approaches were so outdated that I really struggled with how do I actually kind of move this forward to something modern. And oftentimes it was just kind of removing that implementation that was there and installing an npm package and problem solved. Sometimes it was much more complex, and some things I'm still hunting down. A few bugs here and there, but that's mostly like not related to Meteor itself. For the most part, it's mostly just how the UI code has changed.
So I think, oh geez, I'm sorry about that. Let me see if I can just, computer, set volume to 0.
I'm having trouble. Please try it a little while.
Computer, set volume to 1. I apologize, guys. This always seems to happen. I keep on forgetting that the Alexa will go off from time to time. Yeah, so I think this is a really great article. I noticed, by the way, that in the discussion, the greatest success came with using cursor for the large context window, right? So it's but your own, you have used this, is what you're saying?
Not this exactly, but I just kind of gave my own instructions on specific things, and I go one thing at once, not I just migrate from Meteor 2 to Meteor 3. That's usually a big big quick way how to get how to make a mess out of things.
Well, it seemed that Lori tried this, it seemed to me, on this. And this is L'Oreal from Wecken. Wecken. I keep on forgetting how to say it properly. And he tried a small project with it. It seemed to work fairly well. I hope I'm not misrepresenting it. I haven't seen Laurie in a while. It'd be great to say hi to him. Hopefully he's seeing this episode and will comment back. I think, though, that if you are interested in giving this a try, go take this PRD and throw it in Claude and see how far it takes you. I think it's great that there are folks in the community that are trying to find ways to help speed up these migrations from 2 to 3. And if what it does is it reduces into weeks something that would take months, I think that's terrific.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that one of the things that we have to be careful of is that we're not, pushing off all of the work to these other tools and then taking the output and not understanding, what those changes are between 2 and 3 on a fundamental level, because you're going to have to fix things at some point too. So you can't just obviate the fact that there's some knowledge you need to gain and learn in order to do this. And that's my concern about, just how frustrated people might get because it just doesn't do it 100%. I think you should go in with the idea that it won't do it 100%. But if it saves you time and, versus doing it hand by hand, line by line, component by component, then I think this is a win. And certainly it should help folks that are sitting on the sideline saying, I have a 2 version application that works fine, and I don't want to touch it because I'm worried that it's going to be costly and it's going to break things, and the income I'm making from it, I'm going to lose money, right? I hope that something like this allows you to say, let me just put this on a lab server, give it a run, see how it goes, and if the amount of time, and time often is also execution time on some rented server, if that also reduces the cost for doing a migration, I would say give it a shot. You'll probably learn a lot going through the process of moving from one version to the other anyway. So what do we have next? Unless you have a reaction to that.
No, that's that. And I want to say, people, hey, if you're here, don't forget to give us the like. I see more people are watching than we have likes. So make sure, please, to remember that, so that it will help us out in the algorithm, and it will also make sure that if you come back later to this video, that you know that you have watched it and you don't.
That's right. Give us the finger. But make sure it's the right finger. Actually, a thumb's not considered a finger, is it?
It is a finger.
I know, but I think there is some dispute as to whether or not when you use the word finger, it refers all to thumbs. But anyway, I'm going on.
Let's jump into the main Meteor news, and that this is looking towards the future, or in this case. So here we have, and let me jump back to my own side, don't bungle it. We have Italo, who is working on an article in the open about explaining DDP and all the ins and outs. So I think if you really want to get into the reactivity model and how Meteor sends and maintains your data from the server to the client, this is a must. If you know something more about it, definitely give it a read to make sure that that the information is correct. If you don't know, but you want to learn more about it, I would say maybe wait a little bit until this is finished and published. But definitely, I think this is something that we'll be seeing a bit more going forward. Articles and other talking about the details of how the core of Meteor works, especially as things are upgraded.
Will Italo talk about this at Impact? I think this is a great topic to have a session on.
So I have Italo's chat open on a screen right now. He will be actually talking about something different, and I will be adding his talk either today or tomorrow to the schedule. And that will be about contributing to Meteor using open source for career growth. So that will be his talk. But who knows? Maybe he'll do another one on this, or
I hope he
maybe
does,
with
because
somebody
I think
else. So
it's a missed opportunity otherwise.
Yep.
So I really hope that he would consider doing it as yet another one. Yeah, contributions are great, but understanding Meteor is even better. Yeah, these days I'm just throwing my opinions left and right here. So I'm not holding back. Go ahead.
Yeah. Another thing, like kind of looking towards the future with the next two posts, is that Nacho has started explaining how things will be changing with the addition of RSpec in Meteor 3.4. I think just today he posted the pull request for that. So one's going forward, and he has an article on the forums that explains what you need to do, kind of to enable it and to be ready for it. Because right now, Meteor will allow you to either use the new RSpec or can I go fall back onto the old build tools and stuff like that. So first things first, of course, make sure that you have the entry points set properly. That's the basics, and eventually as you go, there are a few more, and there is another point in regards to the inline imports, which are very specific, I think, only to Meteor, thanks to Refi. So that one will, you should probably get rid of it. I've done that a while ago. And replace it either with the standard await import, or kind of move things around a little bit to kind of work in the same way. So that's on that. So if you want to kind of try out the latest and greatest, or be ready for it when Meteor 3.4 comes out, this is a must.
Can I ask you, is Webpack, is this like replacing Webpack or the Meteor build tool itself? Or
no. This is well, it replaces part.
Is it just another option you can use for the build?
It will be, you could say, the modern build tool, and naturally slowly replacing all of the parts. Well, part of it is making it more modular, so you can replace those things. And
because I'm getting confused with the work with Vite, Webpack ability, the native build tool. Like, it's really confusing to me. I'm hoping somebody will come out and say, here's where all of these things exist. Here's how you use them. Here's where they belong in the build chain, right? It would be very helpful to get that, because it's very confusing to me.
So let me just quickly. So RSpec in this particular is the bundler. So it's part of the tool that bundles, the JavaScript. It's written in Rust, and it should be compatible with Webpack. And I am not exactly sure where part in the. I think it's part also of the Vite ecosystem, but don't quote me on that.
Oh, it is. Okay.
Not exact. Let me just quickly.
Well, you know what? Like I said,
if not exactly Vite itself, but I think it might be somewhere in there. It's been a while since I've looked into it. Vite does also a lot more.
It'll be nice to see a picture.
Yeah.
Some kind of diagram, because talking about it in the abstract is just sort of talking around. I still don't conceptually get it. So
yeah.
Not that anybody has to do anything for me, but I figure if I don't get it, there's some other people out there that don't get it.
So also kind of related to that, there has been some complaints lately about the skeletons having some bugs and issues. So part of the going to Meteor 3.4 is that all of the skeletons have tests, and they have been improved and fixed. So the release process in this manner is going to be more stable going forward. And the public beta, Nacho says, should be in about 2 weeks. So
Okay.
yeah, that will be on it. And there's there is quite some exhaustive technical details that Nacho goes into. So if you are interested in that, you can read it. But you should, I would say, in general, like at least skim to see what are the things that you should be preparing for upgrade.
Cool.
So speaking of new releases, Meteor publication collector is working towards version 2.0. Jan Küster is spearheading this effort. And this package makes testing publication in Meteor easier and nicer. That's the official description. And it does that by, instead of exporting or exposing the publication for doing testing, the package lets you to subscribe to given publication and asserts its returned results. So
Interesting.
it kind of skips all the calls to database. So it's really nice for mocking. There is an issue right now that mtest is not compatible with Meteor 3. And interesting news is that Nacho is considering adding this package in some form to the core, which I think would be a good idea to simplify potentially testing, because I don't think, in quite a few cases, we don't have to constantly test that MongoDB gives the results for that given specific package. That can be to a certain degree assumed. So, and it would also help, I think, with the Meteor testing story as well.
That's been a that's been a point of discussion for a long time, Meteor testing. So
yeah, I think in general, testing, just during my career, it was always a pain.
Yeah.
And unless there was somebody, or unless I came to a company where it was already well established and integrated, then it was a bit easier. But still, it's wasn't. It was never easy, to put it mildly. I just want to give a quick reminder here as well that the community survey is still open. So please fill that out. I think we have only 2 or 3 weeks left for this. Give it to every Meteor developer that you know of. It will really help us a lot, and it will also be on Meteor Impact. We'll see the initial results.
So why is this important? What is it going to tell you?
So it will tell us, for example, which front ends are people using, so that we can at least kind of judge what's the issue. Will tell us how many old timers versus newbies we have in the community.
Okay.
It will tell us where people are from. So which I think at least for me will be an indicator. Okay, where should I focus my say translation efforts or evangelism efforts? If there's a growing community somewhere.
Yeah.
So that's definitely, and I think it's maybe a bit of a national pride to make sure that your country ranks high in this metrics. And it will tell us, what are the biggest pain points that people have? What are the things that people want to see, worked on with priority and similar things.
Do you ask anybody what do they have if they have Meteor applications that are running on different Meteor series, like 1 versus 2 versus 3?
Yep. That's all.
That's in there.
So included hostings. There's a question about hostings, or for example, what Galaxy new zones they would like to see, and so on. So that's all part of that. So
that's
it kind of gives the big overview. Also made it, or it was inspired a lot by the Node community survey as well in many of the questions. So that's all included there, and it's kind of like a general good idea of the what's the big community.
Sure.
issues, ideas, and so on. So definitely, fill it out. The more people, the better. Better we
And
have.
are you going
data.
to go over the results at Impact?
Yes, there is a session where I will be going over the initial results. So that will be mostly results that I can put on a graph
Sure.
and analyze. There are some written options, and in that case, that will be something that will be taking longer. And once I anonymize it, so remove any identifiable,
Yeah.
say, comments or anything like that, I will release the full data set so other people can look through it as well.
Sure. That sounds great. So, speaking of Impact, I think we have some sponsors for it
Yes,
now.
we have. First of all, a big thanks to them. And first we have is Austrio, run by nickname is Dr. Dmitry Golev, and he, like, I think we had the Austrio sponsor in the past, and Austrio is a service that has pre-rendering, monitoring, web analytics, not just for Meteor, but also a lot of the other technologies that are out there. So, like, for example, the pre-rendering, there's also integration with Cloudflare and so on. So there's a lot of really awesome tools that you want to have for your application, especially if it's in any way public. So definitely check them out. And if you come to Impact, there will be some gift codes being handed out during the conference as well. So that's Austria. Go ahead.
No, I was going to ask, is there anybody else that has signed on yet?
Yes, we have coming back again our favorite French company, Roti Express, which return on time invested. That's what Roti stands for. Also, it's fun because in roti in French is kind of the meat on the bone. That's the logo. And as last time, they will be offering, or they are sponsoring their surveys. So after every talk, there is going to be a link and QR codes to go to a Roti survey where you can give feedback to the speaker, which will be highly encouraged because I really want the speakers to have good feedback on their talk so that they can improve. And then we can have, additional, say, metrics that we could kind of measure how successful some talks were compared to others.
Sounds pretty awesome. All right. Is this it for today, or do you have anything else that you want to cover?
I think we only have the subscribe here, and that's good for me.
All right. Well, folks, subscribe to the channel. Join our community. It's been growing, and it's a wonderful thing to do. And if you would like to see more of these episodes, that encourages us to continue with this. But beyond that, I want to say, hey, thank you so much for joining us again. And I know it's only Thursday, but we pulled this from Friday. Normally it's a weekend. In the United States, it's going to be an extended weekend. It's Labor Day weekend. And if you are in the US or any place that actually observes Labor Day weekend, I hope you have a wonderful time. Enjoy the time with your family and friends and loved ones. But in the meantime, keep on building stuff with MeteorJS, and we'll see you the next time around. All right. So listen, take care. We'll see you now. Bye.
See you, everybody.